Every year, Christians are told to cancel or completely disengage from Halloween altogether because of the dark side of this holiday. Now, Christians vastly disagree on how to participate, if to participate at all, in Halloween. Some Christians and churches boldly celebrate, while others find different ways to participate by having fall festivals, or they'll do a trunk or treat at their church, while others condemn anyone who participates in any way. They say that churches are wrong for providing alternatives. They claim that anything you do on Halloween or around this time of the year is participating in darkness. You can't do anything on that day because that day belongs to the devil. Now, on top of that, there are all sorts of terrifying stories of ex-witches and ex-satanists who practiced a very different version of Halloween than the average American family, and they'll tell you not to have anything to do with Halloween. And so it kind of becomes confusing when you hear all the stuff that you're going to be hearing this month about Halloween. So I want to answer the question, should Christians participate in Halloween? Now, before I jump in, you need to understand that this issue is what the scripture calls a disputable matter. Romans 14 is all about these disputable matters, and this is one of those issues. I have friends, fellow pastors, theologians, ministers, and people who truly love God who have different views on this subject. And so understand that it is a disputable matter. And when it comes to disputable matters, mature Christians will disagree agreeably, without unity being disrupted, while immature Christians will disagree disagreeably. They'll argue and divide people who don't embrace their convictions, kind of like what will probably happen in the comment section of this video. But please understand that this is not a gospel issue. This is not a heaven and hell issue. And when we elevate an issue like this to the status of a central tenet of Christianity, it causes all sorts of problems. For example, this time of the year, you'll see all kinds of posts like this. True Christians have nothing to do with Halloween. Abstain from all appearances of evil. 1 Thessalonians 5:22. So telling people that they're not true Christians if they go trick-or-treating or participate in Halloween is not helpful. Or this other one, false Christians be like celebrating Halloween, saying God knows my heart. Okay, so true Christians don't participate in Halloween while false Christians participate. This is ridiculous. If you discount someone's salvation based on whether they take their kids trick-or-treating, you have a bigger problem than I can address in this video. We can't have an open and honest discussion about this subject if you take that kind of position, right? We know who the lukewarm Christians are at Halloween. Look, that is just immature. Stop it. It's not helpful. It's not insightful, and it shows that you haven't given any serious thought to this thing whatsoever. Not to mention, throwing Bible verses out of context and putting them on your Halloween stuff is misleading and wrong. Do not celebrate Halloween so that Satan doesn't get the advantage over us and lead us to destruction. The Bible verse about Satan gaining an advantage over us has nothing to do with Halloween or anything remotely close to it. It's talking about forgiving other people so that Satan does not get an advantage over us, right? This is an abuse of Scripture. Or how about this one? Bible verse on Halloween. What communion has light with darkness? Look, this verse isn't addressing anything remotely close to Halloween. This verse is about Christians walking in relationship with people who are not in relationship with God. It's not talking about taking your kids trick-or-treating. You'll also see ones like this, Ephesians 5:11. Have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness. No Halloween. Once again, another verse taken out of context, right? This chapter warns Christians about not being greedy, sexual immorality, idolatry, crude jokes, perverse language, and more. It's not talking about staying, 6 degrees away from anything remotely spooky. Stop using Bible verses out of context to support your convictions. And don't make this a salvation issue. This is not a gospel issue. It is not a foundational doctrine of Christianity. It is a disputable matter. It's important to have discussions on issues like this, but understand it's a disputable matter. right? It's not a core foundation of the Christian faith. And mature Christians will not pass judgment on others in regards to disputable matters. Go check out Romans 14:4. Once you put this issue in its proper place, then you can have an honest, intellectual discussion where you practice discernment, right? Just calling everything demonic is a discernment, right? Discernment is where you find out what's really going on. And that's what I want to do in this video. So let's take a look at the origins of Halloween, right? Like, where did this practice come from? Well, the origins of Halloween come from a lot of different places. It's kind of a melting pot of traditions and religious practices from Catholics, Protestants, and even pagans that have all merged together to create this thing called Halloween that we celebrate here in America. When you study its origin, it's not clearly from any one occultic tradition or practice. Some people trace it back to the Celtic celebration called Samhain, a pagan religious celebration to welcome the harvest at the end of the summer. And people would light bonfires and wear costumes to ward off ghosts. But that doesn't really resemble the practice of Halloween in our culture. Right? There are some things, right? We do bonfires from that time of year and we wear costumes, but we're not really doing it to ward off ghosts. So you can't really say that this is where Halloween came from. And then there are European traditions where they would expect a visitation from the dead around this time of the year. In the Catholic tradition, they had All Hallows Eve or All Saints Day, where they would honor the saints throughout history. But once again, that's not the holiday that we have here in America. And then there is the Day of the Dead in Mexico, which is a popular celebration where people would paint their faces, parade through the streets. It was a day to honor the dead, and they would build altars to deceased loved ones where they would put out their favorite foods, believing that the spirits of their loved ones would come and visit them on this day. And so it had to do with connecting to the dead, which is something forbidden in Scripture. But once again, that's not the modern celebration of Halloween in America. The history of Halloween is fuzzy. Its roots sort of trace back to connecting with the dead and praying to the dead, but that's not the common practice for most Americans, especially Christians, right? Things like dressing up in costumes or going door to door to get candy have no connection to the pagan roots of this holiday. And more importantly, how much do origins really matter anyway? I mean, if going door to door to get candy was a satanic ritual practiced thousands of years ago, it doesn't necessarily make it a satanic ritual today if it's not done with the intent of worshiping Satan, right? Traditions change over time. The Christmas tree was a pagan tradition. Just because you put a Christmas tree in your house, though, doesn't mean that you are worshiping a pagan deity. The Christian act of baptism was used in ancient Babylon as part of a pagan purity ritual. Even the Jews practiced baptism. It wasn't used in the same sense that Christians use it today until after the resurrection of Jesus. So when a Christian gets baptized today, they're not worshiping some ancient Babylonian deity just because that was something that somebody did a long time ago that resembles baptism today. Right? So origins only get us so far, right? Christians throughout centuries, as it moved into different cultures in parts of the world, repurposed many holidays. They would take pagan holidays and repurpose them so that they could be in the world, but not of the world. And so if you have a problem with Halloween because of its pagan roots, then you must apply that same logic to Christmas and Easter. Obviously, the Christmas tree and the Easter bunny don't mean the same thing that they might have meant at one point in time. So origins don't necessarily make something evil. What's more important than origin is practice. The important thing to examine are the practices people engage in on Halloween. Now, there are a variety of ways people participate in Halloween, right? There are kids who dress up in cute costumes and go door to door. And this is what most people think of in America when they think of Halloween. Is there anything evil, sinister, or sinful about dressing up like this and knocking on doors to get candy? No. You know, there's a woman I know who thinks it's wrong for kids to dress up and go door to door to get candy on Halloween. And then for her kid's birthday, she had a superhero themed birthday party where all the kids dressed up like superheroes. They came to her house where they were given a bag of candy. That is literally the same thing people do on Halloween. Look, if it's okay to do it on March 31st for your kid's birthday, then it's okay to do it on October 31st. But then there is another side of Halloween that people experience when they get older, and that's the party, right? You know, going to parties, drinking, getting drunk. And so if you're doing those things, it's wrong. But guess what? Those things are wrong on any day of the year. And then there is the occult, New Age, Wiccan, witchcraft side of Halloween. In Wicca, Halloween is considered to be the high holy day. For most Christians, it's just a normal day, but for the satanic worshipers, this is a big day for them. They have seances, perform satanic rituals. They believe that the veil is thinner on that day, so they engage in these evil practices. And I've heard stories of Satanists who have done some pretty terrible things on this day. But that's a different Halloween experience than most. That's not going door to door and getting candy. That kind of behavior is condemned in Scripture. Deuteronomy 18, 9 through 12 is a passage that addresses these various types of occultic activities. It says this: when you come into the land which the Lord your God is giving you, you shall not learn to follow the abominations of those nations. There shall not be found among you anyone who makes his son or daughter pass through the fire, or one who practices witchcraft, or a soothsayer, or one who interprets omens, or a sorcerer, or one who conjures spells, or a medium, or a spiritist, or one who calls up the dead. For all who do these things are an abomination to the Lord. And because of these abominations, the Lord your God drives them out from before you. So those practices are wrong on Halloween or any other day of the year. Just because this is a big day for the occult doesn't mean that I have to hide in my house with the lights off, because I'm not doing those things that these people are doing on Halloween or on any other day of the year. Now, with that being said, for some reason on Halloween, there are some who might not buy into the occult completely, but on Halloween, they might dabble in the occult thinking it's fun. They might play with a Ouija board, or they'll attend a party with a tarot card reader, or they'll try to contact the dead, or they might engage in some sort of seance. And so they kind of dabble in the occult because they think it's harmless and fun. And that's wrong. It's wrong on Halloween, and it's wrong on any other day of the year. And then there's a side of Halloween that's all about fear and gore, right? It's gross, twisted, perverted stuff that we see in Halloween in scary movies. And there are all sorts of dark, scary, evil movies that come out this time of the year. And so it's not really an issue of Satanism, but something is wrong with that side of Halloween as well, right? Some people dress up as the sexy nurse and wear inappropriate costumes, or a young kid dresses up as an axe murderer covered in the blood of his previous victim. And that's not good either. So there needs to be some discernment that goes into the things that we engage in, right? Dressing up as something that represents wickedness and rebellion against God isn't a good thing. Watching inappropriate movies isn't a good thing either. But guess what? You shouldn't do those things on any day of the year. Those things would be inappropriate on any day. And then there's a side of Halloween where Christians use it as an opportunity to do outreach, where they have a fall festival at their church, or they'll do a trunk or treat where they provide a safe alternative from going door to door. And I've heard people condemn those who do outreach on this day, even fall festivals. Now, how you demonize a season of the year is beyond me, but there are people who do it. So there are a variety of ways that people engage this holiday. That's why we can't make sweeping comments like, true Christians don't celebrate Halloween. Well, what do you mean by celebrating? Is it trick-or-treating? Is it partying and drunkenness? Is it the occult? Or is it doing an outreach at your church? There is a vast difference between these practices. And if you can't see that there's a vast difference between all these different practices, then we can't have an intelligent discussion on Halloween, right? You can't say that the person who's trying to contact the dead, engaging in overt satanic rituals, is the same thing as a little kid dressed up like Wonder Woman going to get candy, simply because they happen around the same time of the year. I mean, is this satanic? Is this demonic? Are these kids trying to contact the dead? Are they performing seances? Are they using a Ouija board? Are they dressed inappropriately? Are they getting drunk? No, they are dressed up in cute costumes and they're getting candy from their neighbors. There is nothing inherently evil with that. Now here is where this issue gets really complex. Let's say that you used to be involved in the occult and you performed all sorts of demonic rituals on Halloween, right? This was your high holy day to worship Satan. But then you get saved. And one of your friends says, hey, I'm taking my kids trick-or-treating. Do you want to come? And you can see how the former occult member might struggle with that idea. It's not hard to find videos online of people who used to be involved in all sorts of satanic stuff saying Halloween is evil. Yes, what they did on Halloween was evil, but that is not how the vast majority of people participate, and it's especially not how Christians participate. So I understand why they wouldn't want to do anything on that day because of their background. For them, participating in any way might violate their conscience. But if you're part of a community with no ties to the occult, you never dabbled in witchcraft, and for you, Halloween is just a fun time for your kids to dress up in cute costumes and get candy and connect with your neighbors and experience community, well, there's nothing wrong with that. And that's why this is really a matter of conscience and not a matter of right or wrong, as long as you're not engaging in any outright sinful activity. Now, some people think that on Halloween, Satan and demonic powers level up and become even stronger. So anything you do on that day or around that time of year that resembles it immediately brings you under satanic influence. But Satanists and Wiccans participate witchcraft every day of the year. But Christians don't react to this except on Halloween because somehow on this day it's different. But guess what? The devil doesn't level up on October 31st. The devil has the same authority on Halloween that he has on every other day of the year. Zero. Jesus said, all authority has been given unto me in heaven and on earth. Jesus has all authority, not the devil, even on Halloween. Now, just because Jesus has all authority, that doesn't mean that you should go around and do things that will open up the door to the enemy in your life. Ephesians 4:27 says, do not give the devil a foothold. Don't do things that will give the enemy space to operate in your life. Spiritual warfare, the devil, and demons are real. So don't do anything to open the door to the devil. You know, some people say, is witchcraft and fortune telling, is that stuff real? Yes, they're really demonic. And that's why we don't let our kids watch things that are occultic in nature. This is why, we talk to our kids about what things we dress up as and what things we don't think are appropriate to dress up as. But the things that open the door to the devil are sinful on every day of the year, not just Halloween, right? If it's wrong to do it on any day of the year, it's wrong on Halloween. And if it's not considered sinful and evil on other days of the year, then it's not sinful on Halloween. If your kids are dressing up and getting candy, they're doing the same thing that they do at a birthday party or any other day of the year. So if it's okay to do it on March 31st, it's okay to do it on October 31st. In the same way that no one day is more holy than another, no one day is less holy than another. I don't think the devil owns any day. I think every day is a day that the Lord has made, and I will rejoice and proclaim his name on that day and every other day. People go, well, Satanists don't celebrate Easter. Well, I don't care what they do. I don't take my cues from Satanists, right? Yeah, but this ex-Satanist said, I don't get my theology about alcohol from ex-alcoholics. I get it from Scripture. Right? Because ex-alcoholics only know alcohol in abuse and excess. And Satanists only know Halloween from the perspective of the occult. Listen to what this ex-Satanist did on Halloween. Well, that's not really helpful for the average person because what they're doing on Halloween doesn't resemble what an ex-Satanist used to do. So when it comes to Halloween, we need to exercise discernment because there was a Christian school that had a Halloween party, and they brought out a Ouija board, and these kids started playing with it. And all the kids who started playing with this thing started having really bad nightmares, and they needed prayer and deliverance afterward. So we need to exercise discernment, which isn't just banning anything to do with the holiday, but looking at each aspect. And so I talked to my kids about why we dress up as certain things and why we don't dress up as things like demons and devils or wear gory costumes, right? We should stay away from anything that is sinful and evil on Halloween and on every other day of the year. But dressing up and getting candy isn't sinful on June 1st, so it's not wrong to do it on October 31st. If something is wrong, it's wrong on every day of the year. And if something's harmless, it's harmless on Halloween as well. Now, with that being said, don't violate your conscience, right? If you don't feel comfortable taking your kids trick-or-treating, then don't do it. Right? Now, if you make that decision, I would encourage you to do something meaningful with your kids during that time. You know, many times kids feel like they're punished for being Christian. They don't get to do things that they think are fun. And let's be honest, kids will always be drawn to wearing fun costumes and getting candy. So if you don't trick or treat or participate in that way, you know, then provide a fun, safe alternative. Do something great with your kids and build some great memories so that they don't feel like they're being punished for being a Christian, right? So don't violate your conscience. Honor God by honoring your conscience. But at the same time, don't expect others to follow your conscience. And for the love of God, stop putting your convictions on others. If you have a witchcraft background and it violates your conscience to participate on that day, that's okay, but stop putting your convictions on others, right? You follow your conscience and let them follow their conscience. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. If you enjoyed it, make sure you subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss out on all the amazing content just like this. And if you found it helpful, do me a favor, smash that like button, share this video with a friend. If you follow me on Facebook, do me a favor and share that video. Help me get this thing out to as many people as possible, because I'm telling you, as we progress in this month, more and more people are going to be sharing all about their ex-satanists and what they used to do on Halloween. So help me get this word out to as many people as we possibly can, especially to parents. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on this video in the comment section below. Thank you for watching. And remember, if it's not good, God's not done.